Welcome back, everyone, to another story. We really hope you enjoy. As the car we were in sped off from the scene, Jack and I finally had an opportunity to catch our breaths. We had just robbed a bank, something neither of us could quite believe we had done. It was something we had been planning for a while, to be honest. Despite our best efforts, neither of us were doing well in life. We had both lost our jobs, our partners, and we were both on the verge of homelessness. We needed money badly and couldn't care less where it came from. It sounds stupid saying it, but the bank heist felt like the only way out of the undesirable lives we were living, hence why we decided to do it. After we had gotten into our getaway car, our driver started taking us to a location I had given him before the heist. It was an old, abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, a place where Jack and I's lives were going to change forever. "Hey, Caleb, where are we actually going now? You still haven't told me?" he asked me, still trying to catch his breath after the heist. "All I can say is that we're going to get new identities. You'll see what I mean soon," I said back, relaxing in my seat. "Do you mean a fake ID and stuff? That'll come in handy," he asked again. "Sort of. It's hard to explain it all without actually being there," I responded, trying my best to calm down Jack. Fortunately for me, Jack didn't speak much for the rest of the car journey. I didn't want to talk about what I had planned for us. Once we had arrived at the abandoned warehouse, Jack and I got out of the car and started walking. "What exactly is going to happen now?" Jack asked impatiently. "You'll find out soon enough." "Stop asking," I said back, getting slightly annoyed by his persistence. After a quick walk, we arrived at a door going into the warehouse. I opened the door and let myself in. Jack quickly followed me in. Once inside, we found ourselves in a dimly lit hallway. The only source of light we could see was coming from a room not too far away from us. "I'm pretty sure that's where we need to be. Let's go take a look," I said to Jack before beginning a slow walk towards the light. After a few moments of walking, we were there. I had a quick look inside the room and was able to confirm Jack and I were in the right place. As we walked into the room, a man wearing a doctor's coat introduced himself to us. "You two must be Caleb and Jack. My name is David. It's good to meet you both," he said in a professional-sounding tone. "Good to meet you too, Doc. When can we get started?" I asked, eager to change my identity. "We can begin now if you're ready. Go and lie down on that operating table and we'll get started," said David. I smiled and walked over to the table. As I was getting myself ready to start, Jack walked over to me and started speaking. "What is he going to do to you? You can't just tell me nothing, Caleb," said Jack in a hostile tone. I sighed before responding. "I'm sorry, Jack, but it'll be a lot easier showing you than telling you. Just be patient and watch what happens to me," I said while lying down on the table. A few seconds later, David came over to the table and started confirming I was ready for the procedure. Once I had confirmed I was ready for the procedure and I was aware of what would happen to me, it all began. David connected a plastic tube to my arm and then switched a small lever attached to a nearby wall. Almost instantly, I felt a liquid enter my body and begin circulating through my bloodstream. As the liquid circulated, I began feeling parts of my body slowly readjust. The changes were subtle at first, but they quickly became obvious as more of the liquid entered my body. I wasn't the only one who noticed the changes either. Jack, who was watching me, quickly began talking. "Caleb, are you insane? Are you turning yourself into a girl?" he asked. I didn't respond, though. I was still dealing with the effects of the changes. A few minutes later, David finally flicked the lever again, stopping any more liquid entering my body. "You're all done, Caleb. Feel free to sit up and have a look at your reflection," said David while handing me a small mirror. I quickly sat up like David had said and glanced down to look at my new body. When I saw the changes, I couldn't help but grin to myself. "Oh, this is perfect. There's no chance the police will catch me looking like this," I said happily. Nothing about my new body resembled my old male body. The transformation was perfect. Even with my guy clothes still on, I could see how incredible my new body was. I had incredible curves, a busty chest, and an incredible set of hair. I had no idea how any of it was possible. Once I had finished admiring myself, I stood up from the table and walked over to Jack, who still looked shocked by the whole thing. "Well, what do you think?" I asked him with a grin on my face. "I think you're insane. I know it's a good idea to change our identities, but isn't this a bit over the top?" he asked me. After thinking for a second, I responded, "It's not at all over the top. By doing this, there is no way I'll ever get in trouble for what we stole from the bank earlier," I explained. "But still, changing your gender? How does that make you feel?" he asked, still perplexed by my decision. "To be honest, Jack, I feel incredible. Before, I was an average guy who barely anyone wanted to date. Now I'm basically a supermodel," I said happily. Jack was about to start talking again, but I cut him off. "It wouldn't be a bad idea for you to become a girl as well, Jack. If you stay as yourself, there's a good chance you'll end up in jail. Even if you have a fake ID," I said again. As I looked at Jack, I could tell he was considering it. He just needed some convincing. "Do you really think I'll get arrested if I stay like this?" Jack asked. I smiled before answering. "I'd say most likely. Remember, the police know what you look like from the cameras at the bank. It wouldn't be very hard tracking you down," I said to him. What I said seemed to resonate with Jack. He looked pretty convinced. After a few moments of thinking, he finally spoke. "You've convinced me, Caleb. I'll do it," he said quietly. I just smiled and pointed at the table I had been lying on just before. Jack nodded and walked over to it before lying down on it himself. A few seconds later, David went back over to the table and started explaining everything to Jack. Once Jack had all of the information he needed, he told David he was ready to begin the transformation. I then watched as David grabbed another plastic tube and attached it to Jack's arm just like he had done to me. Moments later, the lever was flipped, and the fluid was unleashed. I then watched as Jack's body slowly started transforming. It was pretty weird watching what had just happened to me happen to someone else, but I'd say I still enjoyed it. As time went on, Jack's masculine body slowly became more and more feminine. After only a few minutes, he was unrecognizable. When the transformation process was finished, I was pretty amazed. Jack had come out incredible. I could barely believe he was the same person. He now had the body of a beautiful, slim but curvy brunette. I almost felt jealous of him. When Jack eventually sat up and saw his reflection, I could tell he liked what he saw. "You look great, Jack," I said to him, while slightly flustered. "I know, right? I never would have thought I would be this attractive," said Jack happily. After Jack had finished checking himself out in the mirror, he finally stood up and came over to me. I was surprised to see how much shorter he had gotten. He was now the same height as me. "This is incredible. Thank you so much for convincing me to do this," said Jack with a massive smile on his new face. "That's okay, Jack. It was definitely the right thing to do," I said back happily. While we were both talking with one another, David called to us from another room asking us to come and see him. We both agreed and went over to where we had heard his voice come from. After a few seconds looking for him, we found him in a room full of female clothes. "Welcome to the closet, ladies. Feel free to take any outfit you want to wear to replace your male clothes. Have fun," said David. Jack and I instantly started looking around at all of the clothes, shocked by how much there was. After a while, Jack and I both found outfits we loved. I picked out a nice pink top with a skirt and a pair of Vans shoes. It was a fairly basic outfit, but I thought it would look good on my new body. I spent a few minutes putting it all on, and once I thought I looked great. When I was all finished, I went out to see what Jack had picked for himself. To my surprise, Jack had picked out a long-sleeved dress that barely covered any of his lower body. I was even more surprised by his choice of footwear. He was wearing a pair of heels. Wow, Jack, you really went all out, didn't you? I said, commenting on his outfit. Of course. If I'm going to be a girl, I'm going to do it right, he said with a grin on his face. After Jack and I had exchanged a few more words, we went back into the main room where David was once again. This time, though, he had IDs for us, laid out on a table where driver's licenses, credit cards, and government IDs. Wow, David. How did you get all this for us so quickly? I asked. I've been doing this stuff for years. I've gotten pretty quick at making new IDs, he said back. After picking up my ID, I learned a few more facts about the girl I had become. My new name was going to be Allison, and my age was 21, 3 years younger than my actual age. It was pretty cool, to be honest. I was looking forward to starting fresh. After asking Jack about his new information, I learned that his new name was Abby, a name that fit him well. Once I had gathered all of our new belongings, Jack and I's transformations were both officially finished. We had gotten what we wanted and were now free to leave. It was a great feeling. After saying our goodbyes to David, Jack and I left the warehouse. Once outside, I called us both taxis and handed Jack his share of the money we had stolen earlier that day. In total, we had managed to steal close to $30 million, so we were each getting $15 million. Not a bad day. Eventually, taxis for Jack and I arrived, and we said our farewells to one another. Once inside the taxi, I asked the driver to take me to a nearby hotel that I intended to stay at for a while. I obviously couldn't go back to my home, so I was going to have to live at the hotel while I worked out what to do next. When I eventually got to the hotel, I left the taxi and booked myself a room for the next week. In the months after the heist and the transformation, I was able to buy a nice house and move into it. Thanks to the IDs David had created for me, I had no issues with anything. He had done a great job. I was able to live a pretty simple life after moving into my home. I no longer had any issues with money, so I didn't even need to work anymore. Things couldn't have been much easier. After a few weeks doing nothing, I did get pretty bored, though, causing me to take up modeling as something fun for me to do on the side. My career started slow at first, but it didn't take long until people started noticing me. Eventually, I even started making some money from it, adding to what I had stolen all those months ago. Becoming a model really took my life to the next level, causing me to love what I had even more. It was hard to see how things could improve anymore, but I was still sure it would. The day I had become a girl, my life had improved so much for the better. It was easily the best decision I had ever made. Thanks for watching this video. More videos will be coming very soon. We would really appreciate it if you would like this video and subscribe to our channel to support us. Thanks for watching.